Hello, guys. Once again, we're here with Studio 270 Digital Media Lab. My name is Andre Dyson, and today we're going to get into a little bit of um, collaboration station, understanding working with other artists and collaborating, and also get into a little bit of some of the paperwork aspect of making sure you cross the T's and dot the I's with completing a project, completing a song or album, working with other artists, the do's and don'ts of booking studio appointments, being on time, work ethic, coming prepared, and all of that, and delving into some of the paperwork aspects as cue sheets, split sheets, registering for ASCAP and BMI. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, hey guys, we're gonna go straight to BMI, and basically BMI is a PRO, and a PRO means Performing Rights Organization, and BMI is one of the two most famous PROs in the world, and basically this is their main site, and usually people come in to BMI or ASCAP, a performing rights organization, as a writer. And if you were to join BMI, we'll go to join. You have the options to join as a songwriter or a publisher. Uh, Mostly, what a publisher is is definitely somebody who wants to publish uh, to to access music. So if you're joining as a publisher, they have information on that. There's a payment for that, and also as so pretty much it will be like a publisher, and a publisher usually you sign some of that off to a label, and a label will be a publisher in some regards if you don't have some of your publishing as an artist. But as an artist, you can join, and it's free on BMI, and then you would put all your information in, and you would click next. But you would have to, I don't want to put in any information on here that is real. I don't want to put any fake information either to just to advance it. But you have your online affiliation application, and also there's ASCAP, where if you're a music creator, you want to join, you can also join, and they have their respective fees to each tier that you're on. So writer, a $50 application fee, non-refundable, and then you have to have your legal name, mailing address, valid email address, social security, and you must be 18 years or older. So let's see. If we push continue, we'll select writer and then push continue. Now you would put your name, date of birth, U.S. tax purposes, and you have to say if you're a U.S. resident, tax ID number, phone number, what type of music you make, your stage name, what else you go under. And basically the responsibility of BMI or ASCAP is to collect royalties for performing arts. And you have to have at least $1 in royalties, at least $2 in royalties to collect from BMI, and $1 in royalties to collect from ASCAP. And they pay quarterly. Both PROs pay quarterly. And on their site, you can access a lot of information if you don't know about them. Let's see, let's click on the link, the icon link. If you go to About, and you can go About, it tells you that BMI was founded in 1939 by forward thinkers who wanted to represent songwriters in emerging genres like jazz, blues, country, and to protect the public performances of their music. Operating in a nonprofit making basis, BMI is now the largest music rights organization in the U.S. and still nurturing new talent and new music. And basically, what they do is bridge the gap between songwriters and the business and organizations that want to play their music publicly, As a global leader in music rights management, BMI serves as an advocate for the value of music, representing over 17 million musical works created and owned by more than 1.1 million songwriters, composers, and music publishers. So they have a vast role in helping artists uh, get royalties from the works that they've done. So anything where it's like playing in a gym, playing in a restaurant, if your music is played in an arena like that, uh, they can collect for you, and that's money being made off of your music. So it's important as an artist to understand uh, performing rights organizations and also to be a part of one, select which one kind of makes is the best scenario for you. Like I said, BMI is free, so I know I like free. As far as it's free if you're a writer. So registering your works is important. Creating an account is important. And to go a little bit over some of the pros and cons or differences between ASCAP and BMI. Um, ASCAP, I'm sorry, let's go to ASCAP. ASCAP is ran by composers, artists, and publishers. And BMI is ran by broadcasters from radio and TV, which is interesting. Uh, this, let's see, ASCAP distributed less royalties than BMI last year, so the royalties they gave back to artists was like 1.09 billion, and BMI distributed more royalties to the members, equating to 1.118 billion. So not by much, but technically by more. And I believe ASCAP made more last year, but still gave less than BMI. So that's something they kept a little bit more money than what they made. So that's something to pay attention to as a writer, that they're paid out, but not as much. Keeping money, every dollar counts when it comes to paying the rent and putting food on the table. So it's important. Uh, Most likely, probably because the reason for that would be that big publishers sit on the board of ASCAP that also work for other companies, other record companies. And you know how the record industry works is many of the contracts aren't uh, geared for the benefit of the artist, which is a lot has been in the news lately about a lot of cases. Kanye has also spoke on that, where there's a more awareness being raised about how the artist needs to be involved in more of their publishing, more of their uh, have more points on their records, more a higher percentage on their records. That the artist is responsible for creating this, and there are a lot of middlemen putting their fingers into the pot and taking out and robbing artists essentially. So awareness of this is very important as an artist, especially as a independent artist, because if you gain more ground, you might be approached by some larger music industry corporations that, if you're not aware about how you should be getting cut in to certain deals, they're going to take advantage of that, and that's what they look for, ignorance. So always be aware of what's going on when it comes to owning your publishing rights and registering your songs and your music with the U.S. Copyright Office. Speaking of that, kind of go into that a little bit. This is the copyright registration site, copyright.gov. So this is for U.S. copyright. Uh, if you sign with the distribution uh, site, kind of like DistroKid or what else, CD Baby, TuneCore, they all have their plans that and their tiers of what they cover, but they cannot. None of them cover copyright. The only way you can have a song copywritten is to register it through the U.S. government, and you do have to have a pay. You have to pay to register songs. So if you don't want to keep paying the fee the best ideal would be to register songs in an album format. So maybe there might be a sequence of singles, and they're not technically an album, but you would want to list it as a work, and then put all the respective songs within that payment. If they're all, even if they're all singles, you can register. If you have albums out, then I would register your albums as such, so you have the copyright. And in case anything does come up with someone stealing your music or things are in question, that you have that in record and you're able to win some money from that. And that's really the only way to win money, if you have your copyright. So it's very important, because the way the music industry works now is that they expect artists to have their content already established. They're not willing to take in artists to build them. They're kind of supposed to be having internet impact already. It's supposed to be creating some wave on internet, so, which is proof of demand, right? That people will stream your product, and then they're going to come in and throw money at you and say, "Here, we'll promote you." So they're kind of coming in the last minute now, where they're expecting you to have all your material. And if you have all your material and people are eating it up and they love your work, you on the front end as an artist should always copyright your projects, so then they cannot come in and take that away, and definitely don't sign them away. If there's anything in the agreement that says that you will also have the copyright of your albums that you made previous of the signing, at least. So it's important for that to be known. And other than that, copyright your material is very important. I said we'll also get into a little bit about booking. Uh, we use Setmore, so this is Studio 270. I won't show you our real booking page, just for privacy of the people who have booked. So I kind of made a dummy one. But Setmore is a booking app that I've seen used by a lot of different businesses, but there are many like it. But we use it to book for sessions in the studio. So it makes sense where it's an app, it's on your phone, and you can interact and book from wherever, right? So this is the booking page. I'm going to go on what it looks like for the person booking an appointment. This is the booking page, how you would see if you wanted to book an appointment. Powerful online scheduling. And it would show usually the service and then the provider of the service, the name of the studio, and say I wanted to mix, and it shows the duration will be an hour, and then the price, if there were a price. This is not a real price for the studio. We're obviously a free service for library card holders, but I'm just showing you that as a business, you could charge for services. So, say there was a $10 mixing for an hour, right? So we need that. Cool Kennedy, that's my artist name. That's who will be holding the session and holding the service. It shows the available times. Let's go for tomorrow. This shows based on the business hours. They have their business hours listed, contact info. Let's say, oh, I can do 1 p.m. tomorrow. Then it asks for a sign in, so we can skip the login process, but to create a new profile, you will create a profile so they know your information and can get a hold of you. And then you will fill your name out, right? So, in avoiding doing that, we'll just do Joe Sample, and we have to create a fake number. Let's create a number 76. Let's do 224 233 3333, right? Address, Hitsville. Let's see, 270 Hitsville. Or no, let's not make it. Let's do Grove. Our address, Grove Ave. Elgin, Illinois 60120. Oh, sorry. Joe. So now it shows you to confirm your information of the service of mixing for 60 minutes with Cool Kennedy on the date and time, and then my contact info, book appointment. So then appointment is confirmed. So then if you would have a reminder sent to that email, and if they needed to contact you, they will contact you by email or phone. So once you book an appointment on an appointment app, or you make contact with a person of the studio engineer, and they book you, and you have a time locked in, just like this is right here. The most important thing is to be on time. So being on time is a part of, studio etiquette. You have to understand that the engineer is there for you. He's there to work with you and is expecting you to be there. Now, there are extreme cases where you might get in a car accident, something else happen, and you have kids, you have to take them to school, something like that, where life happens, and then most people are understand about that. But if there's something preventable, or you can call ahead of time and reschedule, that shows the engineer that you're mindful about their time, because there can always be booking someone else within that time. Always remember that you're not the only person in the world, right? That's the most humbling thing, is like, yes, you're important, but you're not the only person in the world. And the engineer does this for a living, most likely. If not part time, but he's still making money and to pay bills and put food on the table. So it's work for that person. It's work for the engineer. So you have to understand that their time is valuable, just like you would value your time, I hope. So being on time is very important. When you do come there, respecting the studio space, what are the things that the engineer allows? If you want to bring 5 million people to the studio and goof off and only get like a half a song done, if he's okay with the amount of people in there and they have a space for that, and then it doesn't interfere with the recording, then so be it, right? If the engineer doesn't mind. But also, if they do mind, if it does matter about a tight recording quarters and you can't have extra people in the room, it's best not to push up on that, and understand that there's a limited amount of people, and you have to get to work, right? So, you know, I guess if you want to only do half a song and you're paying for an hour, that's up to you. You know what I mean? If you only want to get half a song done, and it's unfinished, and it's not the engineer's fault, you're still paying for that full hour. And you're not paying you paying isn't contingent on what you get done. In most scenarios, it's just hourly rate. That's how much it costs for that engineer's time. So that's another thing to think about when it comes to work working efficiently. And if you maximize your time in the studio, if you come prepared, if you to a certain degree have your lyrics ready on hand, whether it's via notebook or uh, whether it's via on your phone, that's what you have to do. Uh, or if you're the type to freestyle, which is talent based, because it takes a lot to be able to freestyle in time and on time, where this is a solid take and it's going to be a final cut. So if you're that's a humbling experience too, because not everyone can freestyle and finish a song within a reasonable amount of time. It kind of burns up more time if you're thinking about it and not writing. So it's always at least best to have something written down. As an artist, you got to have some type of concept for a song. You don't just want to come in saying anything. I mean, and even if you do, it's better. that it doesn't eat up the time and you have it written, no matter the content, right? So if you want to talk about nothing or anything or everything and the song is all over the place, yes, that's your content as an artist and that's your creative space. But also understand that it's eating up time if you're taking forever to make takes that you like. So working efficiently is important. Is in the collaboration, especially with other artists. You know, if there are two people in the studio and you guys are different artists, right? And you're saying, okay, you want to be on my song, okay, I'll write a song. So while one person is recording, the other one can kind of be recording. I'm sorry, writing. You know, to maximize the time and collaboration. Uh, or you could do this even before the studio, right? You can meet up. You can book. You can schedule a time between the two respective artists to go over the song concept, to go over the verses, to go over the select the beat, right? Or to make the beat, whatever it is you want to make a beat ahead of time. If you know someone, if you can collaborate with that producer ahead of time, so everything is lined up to how you see fit, then that saves time with the engineer, which is paid time, right? Not having to make those corrections or extending the beat or extending a loop or whatever. That if you can work beforehand with the producer, that the producer can send you track outs or fix the length of a section of a song beforehand and then be able to send that to you or send that straight to the engineer. That saves time. That's cutting away time from you paying the engineer to record. So all of those things make sense in application. And when you book, after you book your first studio appointment, you should see that there should be a process of how you figure out what you need to do and work efficiently toward the time. And that's all being coming prepared with everything you need. Whether and as well as bringing some type of hard drive or cloud, having a cloud account, cloud saving space account, so like an iCloud or something like that, Google Drive account ready, so that they can send you a draft or track outs when you're done recording for the day. You got to have somewhere to send these files, right? So either a flash drive, physical hard drive, or some type of cloud space account ready to be able to log into, or AirDrop if you have a Mac or iPhone. You know, AirDrop is a savior if you have Mac products. Then Vibe is important. So moving on from the technical file sharing onto the Vibe, being in the right mode, understanding that you do have to fulfill an appointment. And for example, Wednesday, October 28th, 2020 at 1 p.m., um, you're going to have to be in the mode for that at that particular time. So whatever it takes to get in to the mode of recording and bringing energy to the studio session, it's important for you to be prepared for that. Things do happen where things might happen and it gets you off kilter and you're not in the mood. But what does it take for you to get into the mood? You have to prepare yourself mentally to turn it on for that specific time. So vibe is very important because that's what's going to come across in the record. You have to understand and remember your flow, how you want it to come across, because all of that the engineer can't fix. You know, if you don't have any energy and you're slurring your words, that's something that an engineer cannot fix. You can't take that out. You can't make you sound different. He can only enhance what was already recorded. So if you're not coming with energy, there's no way to put a effects filter on that and make it sound like you were awake and enthusiastic and you recorded it when you were tired and sleepy and groggy, right? So there's no there's no effect that can change your delivery and how you want to come across. So vibe is important, and also the artist collab paperwork is important. And I wanted to go a little bit into that, where we have let's see, songwriter split sheets. When you're done working with an artist, Song publishing split sheets, it's important to log all the information necessary. So this is the business side of the session. Whether you're signed to a label, somebody from a label usually handles this part and logging this information. But if you're an independent artist and you want to properly collaborate with another artist, it's important to get this information down based on however many songs you do. So we'll start per song. You want to have a split sheet. So you enter the song title, the date that it was composed and written, list each day if more than one. The recording artist, which would be you, right? They're the recording artist or band, if there is a band. The label, which would be the record label, if there is one. The studio name that you record at, the studio space you recorded at. So let's say Studio 270, right? The address of that space, the studio contact phone number. Did the song contain samples? Yes or no? And if it did, what is the album and artist sample? Because they're going to have to, that information is going to come up later when you try to register your songs within BMI or ASCAP or any type of distribution. They're going to want to know if you have contained samples, because a artist, if you sample someone, could make a copyright complaint, right? They could file a suit, say the song hits big and it has this marquee sample where everybody knows it, or they don't know it but it just gets caught. Well, there's a case, and they want to be able to know that, especially if you're for a label, if you're assigned to a label, they're going to want to be able to reach out to that the owner of those songs and get clearance. So that's very important, and that's why it's important if you are going to do a song as an independent artist, you kind of don't want samples, especially if you're trying to promote it and have a song blow up. You want original work with a producer who made original work. Let's see. So the writer, whoever is, it doesn't matter who went first. If you're a writer, you had part in coming up with lyrics. You will fill your name, your address, phone number. If your publishing company, list any third-party publishing companies and their information. So if a publishing company will be uh, ASCAP or BMI, right? If you have a publishing company and a label, publishing percentage, what do they get? If you have a publishing company, a third-party one. But if it's just an independent artist and you're associated and you're signed up with ASCAP, you would circle that. BMI or CSAC, which is a different one, a different PRO, Performing Rights Organization. And then also it shows the percentage of the lyrics that this writer one has. So say you wrote the hook, depending on the agreed percentage between all writers, you would list that right there. Say you wrote the hook, I would say that would be anywhere from 25% to 30%, depending on how prevalent the hook is in the song, right? How prevalent the chorus is. Music, this will be the music of the beat, right? If you're talking hip hop or music, for that matter, uh, the writer of the music. So the bassist will be listed as a writer with the music and that percentage. The pianist will be listed, right? Or in the hip hop case, it'd be the producer. The writer and composer signature, the social security number, birthday, right? So, and then it kind of repeats because it's just for all of the parties involved within this. So it's pretty straightforward as far as split sheets go, but there's important information dealing with that. So working and collaborating with other artists can and cannot be a simple process. It can be simple in the fact of if you're prepared, then things can go smoothly and you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. like using split sheets to get this information up front, so there are no arguments later about percentages, because it does happen. And that's why these things exist, because best believe artists break up and fight over this situation if it's not figured out up front. So split sheets kind of save the day, because everything's in writing and no one can say, well, why did you get this much when I did this, or you did that, you only did this. We agree ahead of time on who is responsible for what, with the percentages listed out, as well as a signature, so everyone signs off on it and no one can go pointing fingers later. It's very important. So this one is a little bit more specific to labels, work for hire. If you're a work for hire, say like I don't know, say you're a big artist and you need a drummer for your show. He's normally your drummer, your drummer that you recorded the album with. He was just in for that studio session to record the album, and now you need a drummer to go to this a show in Cincinnati, right? You don't have the same drummer, so this is a work for hire agreement, uh, a legal contract per se, describing that you pay this drummer. Is agreement between the agreement between the artist, which is the employer, and the drummer, right? Whereas the employer wishes to engage musician to create or contribute playing drums, right? Live drums, and then also the stipulations of the hire as far as payment, assignment, what he should do, the payment, and then musicians' representations and warranties. The musician represents and warrants that the musician has obtained all rights, clearances, licenses, and other permissions necessary for the production of the work, and that the work does not infringe on the rights of any person or entity, including any copy of the intellectual property rights. And so this is something that if you have a music lawyer, before you sign anything, you always want to have it looked over by a professional who is used to seeing these type of agreements. But this is something that if you're working for hire, this is again agreement that you're working and then you're receiving a specific amount of payment, and that there's no issues up front, so nobody comes in at the end and saying that they're owed some type of due. And just wanted to show you guys what a cue sheet looks like. And this would be, say, if you finally get some publishing or a placement, say a song you made into a movie, they usually will put a cue sheet for this, for the song in the movie, because it would be for the production title, production company, and the cue number, cue song title, right? If they selected your song for a movie, they would have, your master, licenser, and the artist, the composer percentage, the PRO affiliation, publisher, and how much of the song they used, and at what point in the movie or production that they used your song. So just a cool thing if you were ever to get music submitted for a movie or show, or YouTube video for that matter, if it's a big a highly produced YouTube video. So that's pretty cool to be able to look at a cue sheet if you've never seen one before. And obviously these documents are provided by Lion Bold Records. So shout out to them, and this is free promotion for them, I guess. If you've never heard of them, check them out. They're great for giving these templates out. So basically, that concludes my wrap up. We kind of covered PROs, performing rights organizations. You definitely, as an artist, should be signed to either ASCAP or BMI or CSAC, which is another PRO, performing rights organization. They do have their differences in fees. Like I said, BMI is free. I would definitely suggest that if if you're not ready to invest the money into it yet. But So ASCAP and BMI, PROs, we went over booking studio appointments, being on time, respecting studio space, working efficiently, coming prepared, and making sure that you have the right things in place to motivate yourself to be ready for the appointment. And we talked about a little bit of artist collab paperwork. The cue sheets, the work for hire agreements, and the songwriter split sheets. So those are important things to keep record of after collaborating with another artist. Keep your split sheets and register your works after you're done recording. So that's all for this time around, guys. I appreciate it. Please keep tuning in for future virtual programming and stay tuned. Thanks. Andre Dyson representing Studio 270. Peace and take care.